Hello, and welcome back to the Calm and Connected podcast. I'm your host, Janine Halloran, and today we are talking about feelings books for kids. So, recently, people have reached out to me on Facebook and have been asking about good books to start exploring feelings with kids. So, I put together a list of some of my favorites. Some of these are books that I've read for several years, and I used to read them to my own kids and my own students, and a couple of these are more new books that I have found. So before everything closed up, I actually went to the library and talked to my local librarian and got a couple of great book recommendations. So I wanted to share some of those books with you so that you could also start working with your students or your own children and just looking at exploring feelings and talking about feelings using books. So, one of the first books that I have used with my own children was How Are You Peeling? It is all these vegetables and fruits with little googly eyes on them, and it has different feelings faces. The fruit and the vegetables make different feelings faces just because of the way they've grown and the way that it's set up in the book. And it's really cute. It's a great way to start talking about feelings and talking about the different feelings that the fruit or the vegetable have on their faces. A book that my local librarian recommended to me was You're a Crab by Jenny Whitehead. So the description says, some days it's easy to feel friendly or funny or silly, but other days it's easier to feel mad or mean or snappy. In other words, to be a crab. So, this is a great way for kids to start talking about the different ways that they can feel throughout the day. And you go through in the book and you meet a lot of underwater sea creatures full of different moods, and just explaining how moods can change. And it's okay to have a bad day, and understanding that things will change and the feeling won't last forever. And it's okay to be a little bit crabby, but just figuring out what to do. Another book I love to use both with my children and with my clients is My Many Colored Days by Dr. Seuss. It is beautifully illustrated. It has all these animals, and they have these gorgeous colors and just beautiful ways of talking about ways that we feel throughout the day, throughout our lives. And just another beautiful way to start the conversation about the different feelings that we have throughout the day. Today I Feel Silly by Jamie Lee Curtis. Lots and lots of cute, beautiful, quirky images in the book, lots of fun designs in the book. And then, this is another book where they just talk about how moods can change day to day. So, silly, excited, cranky, sad. And it's okay for you to have lots of different moods. Just like I always say, it's okay to feel every single feeling. It's what you do with those feelings that matter. You see the main character change moods throughout the book, so it's really interesting to read and just start conversations with kids about how have you felt in the last few days, or how do you feel even today. I love Glad Monster, Sad Monster by Ed Emberley. He is a great artist. I love all of his books about drawing and how to encourage kids to draw and showing them how to make animals from simple shapes. And this is another sort of beautifully illustrated book where it just talks about all the different feelings that kids can experience throughout the day. And one other recommendation from the librarian at my local library called The Rabbit Listened by Cori Doerrfeld. The main character in the book is Taylor, and she has something sad that happens to her and she doesn't know what to do. And so she talks to all these animals. All of the animals are sure they have the answer. The chicken wants to talk it out, but Taylor doesn't want to talk. The bear thinks Taylor should get angry, but that's not quite right either. And then she finally runs into the rabbit, and all the rabbit does is listen, and that's what Taylor needs. So I thought that was a really beautiful book with a great message about trying to figure out what coping skill, what strategy is going to work. So for Taylor, all that she needed at that moment was somebody to listen. And I just think it's a great message for our kids to realize, different things work at different times, and figuring out what will help you really does matter. over at Coping Skills for Kids, I have some activity books that will also help kids explore their thoughts and feelings. So there's the Processing Feelings activity book, which explores a lot of different emotions through drawing and writing and just using shapes and colors. There's my Happiness Journal, where kids can explore people who make them happy, places that made them happy, keeping a collage of happiness where they can look back on the good things that have happened and continue to look at those when they're having a hard time. And then there's also the Relaxation Roundup, where kids start to explore mindfulness and ideas and strategies that help them relax. Deep breathing, imagining favorite places, making lists of fun things to do. So those are the activity books that we have over there. Take a peek over at copingskillsforkids.com and you'll be able to see the activity books more in detail, and I'll put a link to that in the show notes. And if you like this podcast, please share it and rate us wherever you are listening to this podcast. And one last thing, please don't forget about yourself. Take a few minutes, have a little fun, and have an awesome day.